What is going on, everybody? And in this video, I'll be going over the highs and lows story here on the Crew 2. Crazily enough, this is actually the second to last one we will see until next season, which is kind of weird, but nonetheless, jumping right into this one. Step number 1, trailer park in El Paso. Find the trailer in the trailer park located in El Paso, far southwest of Dallas. So for step number 1, all you have to do is locate the trailer that's in the trailer park in the El Paso area, which is luckily pretty easy to find over here in the corner. Now, the fastest way I found to get here is going to be from spawning over here at the Hyperway Pursuit Hypercar Race. Now, moving over to step number 2, Holbrook Restaurant. Travel from El Paso, far southwest of Dallas, to the taco joint located in Holbrook between the Grand Canyon and Meteor Crater with any ground vehicle. So for step number 2, all you guys have to do is head out of the El Paso area. Now, I noticed in the trailer park that's actually not in El Paso, so pull forward over here a little bit till you enter the actual little town, and you'll be good to go to head over to Holbrook, which will be about 16 miles away from this location. Now moving over to step number 3, gas station in Amarillo. Travel from Holbrook between the Grand Canyon and Meteor Crater to the gas station located in Amarillo, north of Dallas with any ground vehicle. So for step number 3, you will have to leave from the Holbrook area and head all the way over to Amarillo, which will be 20 miles from this location. Maybe using a hypercar or something that's very fast might be a good idea for this one because this is a bit of a drive. Moving over to step number 4, boat storage in Port Isabel. Travel from Amarillo, north of Dallas, to the boat storage located in Port Isabel, extreme south of the Gulf of Mexico, with any ground vehicle. So for step number 4, you will have to leave from the Amarillo area, so I recommend just leaving from the gas station in step number 3 and heading all the way to Port Isabel, which is a bit of a drive as well. Leaving from the gas station in Amarillo is going to be about 21 miles to Port Isabel. Moving over to step number 5, high-tech company. Travel from Port Isabel, extreme south of the Gulf of Mexico, to this high-tech company located in Westminster, Los Angeles with any ground vehicle. So for step number 5, you will have to leave from the Port Isabel area and head all the way to Los Angeles, which will be about 47 miles away from this location. Now for this one, I highly recommend using a hypercar of some sort because this might take a little bit of time in something like a streetcar. Now moving over to step number 6, garage in Fresno. Travel from Los Angeles to this garage located in Fresno, far southeast of San Francisco with any ground vehicle. So step number 6 requires you to leave from the Los Angeles area, and I found it a little bit easier to spawn over here to the Hollywood Hypercar Race because it puts you right next to the highway. Then you can head over to Fresno, which is actually pretty close by. Now moving over to step number 7, Ivory Taco. Travel from Fresno, far southeast of San Francisco, to the Ivory Taco located on the Fisherman's Wharf, San Francisco, with any ground vehicle. So for step number 7, all you have to do is leave from the Fresno area, then head over to the Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco, which will be about 14 miles away. Now moving over to step number 8, restaurant in Seattle. Travel from San Francisco to this restaurant in waterfront Seattle with any ground vehicle. So for step number 8, you will have to leave from the San Francisco area. So if you guys really want, you could just leave from the Fisherman's Wharf if you would like. I actually spawned over here to the photo op, which is the Golden Gate Bridge, and it spawns you right on the highway as well, so you guys can pretty much just head there from this location. And luckily, this is only about 13 miles away from San Francisco. Moving over to step number 9, Chilli's Heaven in San Francisco. Travel from Seattle to the Chills Heaven on Central Waterfront, San Francisco with any ground vehicle. So for step number 9, you will have to leave from the Seattle area, so I highly recommend spawning over to this speed trap after completing step number 8, because it puts you in a perfect straight line back to San Francisco, well kind of, and it's also about 14 miles away from this location as well. Now moving over to step number 10, Barbershop in Los Angeles. Travel from San Francisco to the Barbershop in Bellflower, Los Angeles with any ground vehicle. So step number 10 requires you to head over to Los Angeles from the San Francisco area, which will be about 15 miles from the previous step's location right about here, and luckily the barbershop is pretty easy to find. Now moving over to step number 11, Lost Garage. Travel from Los Angeles to the garage located west of Big Land's Airplane Cemetery, far southeast of Los Angeles with any ground vehicle. So step number 11 requires you to leave from the Los Angeles area, then head over to a garage that's located close by to the Aircraft Cemetery in the Big Land area. Now hilariously enough, this is actually not a garage, it's more of a gas station, and it's also a photo op as well located over here. Now moving over to the final step, I do believe this is the longest story we have seen so far. I mean, some of these have been like 20 to 50 miles away from each other, which is kind of crazy. Nonetheless, the final step, barn west of El Paso. Travel from Big Land's Aircraft Cemetery, far southeast of Los Angeles, to this barn located west of El Paso, far southwest of Dallas with any ground vehicle. So for the final step, you will have to leave from the Aircraft Cemetery and head over to El Paso, which is actually only about 15 miles away. It seems like this story, like I mentioned before, has a lot of driving in it, but luckily the barn's pretty easy to find located right over here.